If you like cycling, being stylish, and keeping the sun off your head, then you've come to the right place. I've got a free pattern for a cycling cap just like this one with a link in the description. And now I'm going to show you exactly how you make it.
The very first thing you need to do is cut out the pattern. It's for A4 paper, sorry Americans, and there are 3 sizes. Just get a tape measure around your head and cut out the long piece that fits best, either 56, 58 or 60 centimeters. And that long piece also needs to be taped together. Someone came to say hello. Right, back to work. And it will be helpful later to mark the fronts of the side pieces and the centres of the brim and the long piece. The black triangles on the pattern will help you here. For the sides you need 2 mirrored pieces, don't forget that. For the underside of the brim I used a plain cotton canvas that was interfaced for some stiffness. And now the fun bit. Start with the side piece darts. I'm going to be making French seams to hide those ugly raw edges. Yeah, I don't like them. There's a 1 centimeter seam allowance in the pattern. So I sew the wrong sides together, trim the seam down a bit, turn it inside out, and then sew the right sides up. Then you have to do that all 3 more times. On each dart, the fabric edge should have a nice smooth curve to it. Now to sew the pieces together, match up the fronts of the long and side pieces. I put little cuts in mine to keep track of them. And again, I'm using a French seam. Now it suddenly starts to look like a hat. I couldn't resist and tried it on. Onto the brim. Sew the right sides together along the outer curve. Clip into the seam allowance. Trim the seam a bit and turn right side out. So one problem with sewing outside is that I don't have an iron. So instead I have to make do with this roller. And you have to press the brim down mercilessly. Line up the centre of the cap with the centre of the brim and sew it on right sides together. You do have to bend the edge of the brim a little bit to get it to match up with the straight edge of the cap. A bit of elastic at the back will stop the hat from flying off your head when you're racing along. Sew this into the seam at the back. What I do is I sew one end and then use a pin to experiment with how much elastic to use, and when you're happy, fix the other end. Almost done now. The last thing to do is to sew the band onto the bottom. Align the bottom edge of the band with the edge of the cap and sew along the band's top edge, like so. When you come to the elastic, you'll need to pull it tight so that the fabric is flat. Also be super careful not to sew through the elastic. At the brim, pull the brim back so that you sew over the brim and the hats, covering the stitch you made earlier. Once you've gone all the way around, snip the band, fold it over and sew it down. Then trim the cap's bottom edge so that no fabric sticks out below the band, and everything will be nice and neat at the end. The very final step is to turn the band to the inside of the hat and stitch around that bottom edge. Again, when you're at the elastic, pull the material tight and try to avoid going through the elastic itself. And that's it! You're ready to ride! I hope you enjoyed making your cycling cap and wearing it even more.